I'm Briar Craig. I teach at UBCO Okanagan. I'm the primary, I'm actually right now the sole printmaking instructor there. I've been part of different teams over the years, sharing the responsibilities with different other artists, but right now I'm the only printmaker. One of the things that is sort of a key component of printmaking is that there are these international exhibitions everywhere. And typically, after an exhibition, there's a catalog. And I'm in enough of those shows that I have a raft of those catalogs, and often I show them to my classes. And inevitably, someone will be looking through and say, wow, I wish I could see this piece live. And we decided a few years ago through Lake Country Art Gallery that we would invite some people to come whose work we had seen over and over again and people were always responding to, wishing they could see it live. So we did it was a great exhibition. It was for artists, print artists in BC, so mostly locally. Students were included, and they could submit their own work and then a list of potentially 3 international artists that they'd like to invite. And so once your work was accepted, and it was sort of a strange vetting that we were vetting both the work they submitted and the quality of the people they wanted to bring in. But once that was selected, we just invited those international artists. And for an exhibition in Lake Country, BC, we had some pretty huge name people that just went, sure, I'll just send. So that was another curatorial project that I think worked particularly well. And it was a really nice combination of both the local and international. But it's all about, all the curatorial work that I've done so far has all been about trying to create a community and trying to involve our community with things from outside of our community as much as possible. And I think that's really possible with printmaking because it is work on paper and it can be shipped fairly simply and inexpensively. I was hired by Okanagan University College in 1991 when the BFA program started at that institution. And almost right away, there was another printmaker here, Mary Smith McCullough. She's still local and working in the Valley. But when I arrived, we talked a lot about we'd like to have this kind of triennial or biennial. And we wanted to start slow, so we started doing a number of invitational exhibitions, usually with Canadian artists first. And I think we did 2 or 3 of those, and then they kind of petered out after a little while, but they were the building blocks for what this would become. So the seeds of this go back to 1991 or 92, I think. Over the years, the idea of this exhibition was pitched to a number of different curators up and down the Valley, typically without a lot of success. And in 2007, I had an exhibition in Vernon, and Lou Bosch-Cullen was fairly new being the curator there. And as we were setting up my exhibition, we were just talking about this possibility, and he jumped on it. He was like, well, let's do it. We can do that. And he and I came up with then this sort of plan to build the exhibition. The first year in 2009 was only open to Canadian artists. In the next version in 2012 was artists from the Americas, so Central, North, and South America. And then from now on, it's been international. So it's been a nice building thing. It's got some momentum going now. I think in its 4th incarnation, it's growing. And but really, the seeds of the idea were, we're printmakers. We can show it internationally. Let's create something where we bring people here and bring people's work here, mostly for our students. So it really was. I mean, it's no mistake that UBC is a partner in this, and because ultimately it was to bring international caliber, world-class caliber work to the Okanagan for our students to see. And of course, the viewing public is welcome to see it too, and they will hopefully benefit as well. I can't. I came up with the idea, and then I've handed it off to galleries, and the galleries do most of the work, thank God. Because it's a nightmare trying to gather things together and get artists, any kind of artist gathering together is like herding cats. So most of the grunt work I haven't really had to be part of. I get the glory of seeing the work and jurying the work and spreading the word that the exhibition is happening. But the actual nuts and bolts of doing it are all being run by the Kelowna Art Gallery and the Vernon Public Art Gallery, and I am so thankful that they take that grunt work away from me. But it really is just a matter of getting the word out, and I think breaking into a market of other biennials and triennials that have been existing for a really long time. So I think our number one job, and my number one job, is just trying to send the prospectus for the exhibition out and really try to promote it as much as possible so that we become one of those expected exhibitions every 3 years. Because there's lots of them. There's the primary one, probably the biggest exhibition in printmaking in the world, is in Krakow, Poland. And it's been around since the 50s, I think. And it's the staple. That's the one you want to get into every 3 years, if possible. And then other exhibitions have spawned from that. So we would like, in North America, to be one of those exhibitions that happens with some regularity and has a good reputation. So I think it's really just a matter of getting the word out as much as possible. Again, I think the challenge really is just getting enough people to know about it. That's really the challenge. I think that the breadth of work that's happening in the world and the variety of what's going on and the depth of people's ideas, they kind of guarantee that the exhibition is going to be successful. I don't think we could put together an international exhibition, a juried international exhibition of prints, and have it be boring, because there's so much going on in the world, and I think artists, and perhaps maybe even print artists, because of the nature of communication, that it's about making multiples and sending them different places. I think the nature of a lot of print artists' work is communicative. And I think right now the world's doing some pretty weird things, and I think those artists are making work that address those ideas and those problems and those issues. So I think we are seeing a microcosm of what's happening in the world in the work that we have. So I don't really know that there's any particular challenges to that. It's just getting people to know that we exist and that we are going to put together an exhibition that's serious and will honor the work that they're doing and make them and expand that larger global community. I hope that they have a new appreciation of printmaking. Printmaking is not something that typically people come to on their own. I think it's something you would have to go someplace to learn. There are certain facilities, presses and screens and lithostones and things like that just aren't something you could pick up because you want to learn to be a printmaker. You have to go somewhere and learn it. And I hope that an exhibition like this, at least at its very essence, sparks an interest in what those different modes of communication and modes of art making are, because they're not known to most people. Typically, as a university professor, I can pretty much guarantee that the students that show up into my classes at the introductory level have never really done much printmaking before, if any at all. And that's fun because the learning curve is so steep. So I hope that people will come away with at least the spark of interest in this medium that they wouldn't necessarily know anything about, and then that the caliber of the work that we're attracting and that people are sending us will help us to see, as viewers, to see the breadth of what's going on in the world. And again, I think that printmaking is in a really enviable position because it is accessible. It is work on paper. It can be rolled up into a tube and mailed relatively inexpensively and without really damaging the work very much. And I think that we have this possibility of gathering work from around the world relatively easily. And it's just a matter of doing it. And hopefully people will come and see stuff and see things they've never thought of before and have their minds blown with the possibilities of art.